Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. Before we get started, there is a channel on YouTube called General Hospital Spoilers. What I will say about this channel is that, um, this is just my personal opinion, that I feel like they put out, fan theories and they try to hide it under this. Oh, well, like for an example, maybe I think a month ago, they came out with this theory that Nell's body was recovered and Morgan was the one that saved her. And I'm like, what? And they try to put it like it was true. Like this is gonna happen in the next couple of weeks. They put out theories like that and it's just misinformation. So I would just caution anyone that's going on there to try to find information. You might want to do your own homework and not just rely on that particular channel. One second. Now I want to apologize for this video coming out late. I don't know why, but for some odd reason, the internet decides it wants to work on a ridiculously slow level. So I appreciate everyone who's actually watching this video right now. Well, spoiler alerts, tomorrow I actually have a dentist appointment, and depending on how much my mouth hurts or how long the Novocaine is going to take to wear off, video may be coming out a little bit later, but I'm not going to try to have it come out too late. If anything, I'll just may make a message, and if it's really bad, I'll be like, yeah, head to Brock TV's channel. We'll just play by ear and see what happens. Now, with this being said, General Hospital has been on fire lately. Even on this episode, it was actually really good. I don't know what to say. That and the views have just been like up here. It's been higher than my day's reviews, and I'm still just like, am I doing something different? Is Brock TV slipping or something? Like what's going on? I mean, he's always on point, so I'm just trying to figure out the science behind that. But whatever it is, thank you. Now, with that being said, I want to talk about TJ Molly. She tells him everything. She's like, I cheated on you with Brando. I didn't want to burden you with the truth. I felt like it was unfair. And she just confesses everything. And here's the thing. I've had problems with Molly in the past. I'm going to be very clear on something. I don't really have a issue with someone who's feminine, but I have an issue when, let's say, somebody throws out something, and and the first thing she sits and says along the lines of, "Oh, well, this is the patriarchy," and and it's just like, okay, you must be real fun at parties. Those are the type of people that I'm just like, yeah, I don't want no parts of you. Because I feel like anytime I say something, you're going to sit there and start throwing gender this and, whatever that. And I just, no. So she has not always been my favorite character. I've seen worse, so she's not super terrible. But with that being said, she handled it in the way that, she can only handle it. I mean, yeah, we can all agree that it was poor that she waited so long to sit there and tell the truth, and that she tried to, make it seem like, oh well, me telling him the truth, it may benefit me, but not benefiting them. It's like trying to talk yourself into doing the wrong decision. You know, like trying to sit there and play it out like it's a good thing what you're doing. I'm like, no, it's not, but whatever. With that being said, she told the truth. You know, she said she was sorry, she loved him and everything like that. And she said it was Brando, and she also, was like, listen, he didn't even know about you. So don't come at Brando sideways like, dude knew, because he didn't. To be honest, I don't think he should be coming at Brando sideways anyway, because Brando will probably put hands on him. And it won't end well for TJ. With that being said, TJ's like, I need some time to myself. I need some space. I need some time, just for myself. She leaves. I don't know how much hours pass, or what he considers time, but it was literally 30, 30 seconds or whatever. And he finds her in the park. He's like, listen, I'm still upset about it, but I love you, and I know you love me, and you did tell me. It was kind of late, but you did tell me. I didn't have to sit there and drag it out of you. So that's something. And like Molly said, she did it because she saw the way their parents were hurting each other with all these lies and secrets and everything, and she didn't want to sit there and do that. And sometimes I always sit there and say, with other people older than you, your parents or older parents or whatever, that if they're not going to be a great role model, then let them be a great cautionary tale. And that's, what she did. He was like, listen, I'm upset, but we can work through this one day at a time. Now, everyone on this planet has a different way of how they handle cheating. Most people, it's a deal breaker. Once that trust is gone, it's gone. And I know this sounds pretty messed up, but I'm gonna say it anyway. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person that ever actually thought of that. Let's just sit there and say hypothetical, I was going out with someone and they cheated on me. Well, the only way to make that right is to cheat on them. And then we can just kind of at that point we can just even it out. And that's wrong for some people, probably a lot of people. That's just my way of, if that happened, how I would react. Or might react. Because it could be my point is, some people could sit there and look at that and be like, bro, so she just cheated on you, and like 30 seconds later you just ran right back to her and you're just like, nah, it's cool. I mean, it's not really cool, but I love you, and we'll work it out. It was like, bro, you really made us sweat for a little bit, like a whole 30 20 minutes. Good job, bro. So I mean, I don't really know which way to look at that. I mean, you can also look at it like, they love each other, they've been through a lot. It's one of the many tests that people are going to sit there and face in a relationship. And if their love is that strong and they mean so much to each other, then they're not going to let that interfere with how they move forward and be together. I can probably do a whole video on that alone, but I'm not. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Jordan is Jordan's having a real. Jordan's been having a couple of rough months. Okay, she's been having a real couple of rough months. We get into this episode and she's talking to Curtis, and she's giving these really bad. Like, if she was on the debate team, I would feel bad for the people that is on her team, because the way she tries to argue with Curtis, or the way she tries to be like, oh, well, it's not that bad. What does she say? Hold on, let me. Something along the lines of, our marriage isn't really that bad. It's better than most. And I'm like, better than most? I actually had to rewind that for me. I was like, did this chick really just sit there and say that our marriage is better than most? That's what we're doing? We're not shooting for the stars. We're just like, C+. It's cool. And Curtis had an issue with her, just basically her, you know, thinking for herself, being this and this, what I'm saying, like just making decisions, for both of them without really his consent or anything like that. Just like, how do you sit there and say it? I don't exactly remember the exact words he was using, but he was just upset that, like, he felt like he was the only person in his marriage, and she's just off doing her own thing, and that she never really trusts him, and it's been going on for a while. And the thing about Curtis is that he pretty much, like, this isn't the first time we had issues like this where you just pretty much decided that it was just you against the world. He's like, every time that I think that we're good, you come up with something else. You come up with something else. You come up with something else. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be in a marriage like this. This isn't working for me. And at this point, he just walks off. And the things that Jordan was sitting there saying was like, oh, well, I didn't tell you at first, but then I told you after. And it's like, you're not making this better. And to be fair, there, in Jordan's position, you can't make this better. Everything that she sits there and says with Cyrus and TJ and this whole cover up, everything that she isn't just saying, she's not making this better. And she got nobody to blame for herself. I mean, she has nobody to blame but herself. And I do remember what Portia was sitting there saying. And Portia was like, listen, you're gonna sit there. You gotta ask yourself: are you willing to sit there and forgive what she's doing, for the sake of your marriage? And do you love her that much? And I don't know if this is, obviously a lot of people sit there saying that it's probably not gonna work out, that they're gonna get divorced, or him and Portia's gonna sit there and want them getting together, and that Trina is really Curtis's daughter. And that should be real fun to sit there and watch Trina act like the way that she acts. And to be fair, I still do think that she is a better character than Jocelyn, but whatever. But at some point, Jordan gets home, and TJ's like, "Yo, Molly cheated on me." Like, he just blurts out, "Molly cheated on me," and Molly says something. Molly says something along the lines of, and granted, I kind of almost felt like, now I'm thinking about it, she kind of threw Jordan under the bus. Because basically, Molly was like, I didn't know what to do. I came to your mother, and your mother kept, like, your mother was pretty much just kind of insistent that, you didn't want to have anything to do with me through your texts and stuff like that. And so, one of the things that TJ confronted her about, well, TJ was like, well, he confronted her about that. He basically was like, did you know that it was Cyrus that, kidnapped me? Like, did you know? Because she kept getting all these text messages from you telling her that you didn't, that I didn't want anything to do with her. Like, you didn't check on me. Like, did you know? And, Jordan was like, yeah. And he was upset with her and basically was like, is there anything else that you can tell me about? Or that I can feel, that I can trust of what you're going to sit there and say? And she pretty much like, I can't do that, So at this point, this is when TJ walks out and he finds Molly and, yada, yada, yada. But yeah, I just, then, Jordan's sitting up there crying and stuff like that. And you know what? You partly want to sit there and feel sorry for her because she's crying, but it's like, this is a mess that you made. All this happened because of you. And I know a lot of people are probably like upset with her, but here's the thing. I think this is general drama, If she actually had done all the perfect things that she should have done, then it'll be boring, And we always want to sit there and talk about, at least for me, I like a character that has flaws, and this woman just has tons of them. So, I mean, I'm not like upset with her. It's interesting, I would sit there and say. What else we got? You got Franco sitting there sneaking around the hospital with a really bad wig on Ulbrich and Scotty there. So they get into this conference room because apparently there's only one conference room that they can use. And at this point, Ulbrich is there trying to look into the database and sit there and get his medical scans or whatever, so she can better help determine the best way to sit there and help him. At some point, they pretty much kind of send Franco home, and Franco is happy that she didn't try to kill him, and so they're on good terms again, which is cool, because let's be honest, Ulbrich doesn't really have any friends. Um, so what else happens? He leaves, and then Scotty and I know a lot of people call him Scott, but I'm just gonna call him Scotty. Um, Scotty and Ulbrich talk, and they talk about the doctor being dead, and pretty much Ulbrich is like, yeah, and then it happened, and it's done now, so whatever. Not gonna lie, at one point they don't really talk about too much of anything as importance, and then later on, in the hospital, she runs across Britt and Peter, and now she's upset and she's like, oh, you're getting close to Peter, and pretty much she just makes her veiled threats of Peter's gonna get his comeuppance at some point, and I guess we'll wait and see. Now let's talk about Britt for a minute. She pretty much decides to team up with Jason and Sunny. She honestly, tell you the truth, at this point, I really felt like it was a no-brainer. As bad as she could sit there and think that Sunny is, like, he's the lesser of the two evils. He's the lesser of two evils when it comes towards Sunny and Cyrus. And she's starting to see that firsthand with the amount of ODs that's coming into the OR. So it's like, why did you take so long to come to this decision? I don't understand that, but okay, sure. And she decides to throw in with Jason, and she gives Jason some information about what Cyrus is doing with these drugs that are technically going to be FDA approved, but he's going to be making money off of it, and who knows what else he's going to be doing with it. So she throws down with Jason and Sunny, and at some point she runs into Maxie. Now, just quick backstory: Maxie decides to name her daughter Louise. Now, this was a quote that Peter said, and I thought it was pretty interesting because Maxie was feeling kind of down. She's gonna be getting married. She has her she has a baby on the way, and she feels bad, mostly about Lulu and other people that's not really in such a good position. And Peter says something along the lines of, if we accept our gifts as responsibility, hold on, what did it say? Then in some form of way, it'll feel like you're honoring them. And I thought that quote was actually pretty interesting, because on one end, people do feel guilty sometimes when you're I don't know, I guess at a good position in life, and other people or your other friends or family may not be in. So it's good to kind of sit there and remind yourself of that. I think that's good. I had something else I was going to say about that, and I'm not going to lie, I can't remember it, but I can't find it. I was looking, here's the thing, I think this was like maybe 2008 or 2007. Luke said this quote, and it was pretty interesting. And I have to look through my room to find it, but I was going to sit there, because actually, it was so good that I actually wrote it down. And I rarely write stuff down like that, but like it was a really good quote. And hearing Peter's quote kind of reminded me of that, and I think this was like 2005 or 2006, I don't remember. Anyway, nothing really happened with them except for the fact that they invited Britt to celebrate Christmas and being with family and stuff like that. And yeah, so So I guess in some sort of ways they're kind of Max is just trying to bury the hatchet, because they have a huge bad past, and you know what? If anything, that taught like from the whole explosion and Lulu being in a coma, it's like, you know what? Listen, it's better to just kind of just move forward and kind of forget the past a little bit. As far as the bad stuff that's happened. What else? As I'm sitting there going through it, I'm like, there's some stuff that happened that was like not as interesting, but we'll go with Liz. I didn't realize that her family, like her parents, are still alive. Anyway, Liz and Terry talk, and they talk about Cameron for a little bit, and how he's just very distant because of Dev and everything like that. And they talk about Franco, and at some point Franco comes home, and Cameron says something to Franco as far as like, it's good that you're spending your last days here, and he kind of just cuts off, like, if he says more, he'll just like fall apart, you know. And I'm not gonna lie, I felt for him, you know. It's one thing when something bad happens, another thing when you say it out loud, because it feels like it's so much more real when you say it. So he kind of just like cut himself off and walked back in the kitchen, and Terry talked to him. And you know, on one hand, I know people are gonna sit there and look at this and be like, it came across as a PSA, and it probably did. This is more about Terry just letting Cameron know that it's okay to not be okay, and not tell everyone that you're okay when you're really not. And she kind of shared her experience about something that happened to her friend, and she still deals with it every now and then. But the point of it is that her friend wouldn't want her to just not live her life. And at some point, Liz early was talking about how Cameron doesn't use the guitar, he doesn't really touch it in a while, and he just kind of more or less just been withdrawing. And I guess the talk worked because he got back on his guitar and he started playing. And I'm like, this guy is playing really good, and I'm just like the level of goodness that he was playing is like something that you had either been doing when he was like 4, or he just had like 15 years of knowledge. Anyway, he plays the guitar, so I guess he's moving back up somewhat. Um, so I'm trying to think of the best way to sit there and describe this thing, because I feel like it might be the last, but let's see. So Michael and Willow talk, which I gotta sit there and say, what are they doing? I feel like every time they kind of want to sit there and talk about some sort of resolution, or like to get somewhere with these people, it's like it gets cut off. They start talking, like Michael and Willow start talking about, how they have to sort out their feelings with, Chase and Sasha before each other, otherwise they can wind up hurting each other. And before that really goes into play, or you talk about more, Brando walks in. Funny because I thought Brando was quote unquote on the outs with, Sonny and his family. Yeah, he's just casually showing up there. Okay, whatever. So he shows up. He's like, yeah, by the way, there's some cops outside. What's up with that? Now Carly answers the door, and she looks, and she takes a breath. She takes a breath. She opens the door. Chase is there, and Chase pretty much tells Carly about Julian and some footage of Sonny going after Julian, and 2 bullets in Julian's body. So at this point, even if Sonny comes back, he still has a lot to worry about. Um, Now, I want to mention, um, at some point when Jason does come back in, you know, Chase starts asking him questions. Jason's like, lawyer, 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 lawyer. And at this point, the interview, whatever, just gets shut down. And, in the beginning, when Carly was there talking to Chase, about where's Sonny at and what's going on with him. What's the last time you talked to him? At some point, Mike comes in. Michael's like, "Yo, what's going on?" And Ashton Chase is like, "Listen, I'm sorry to tell you this, but your father's missing. There's a bridge. It collapsed, and we don't know what's what." And at some point, Carly was like, "Well, what are you doing to sit there and find him? What are you doing to sit there and try to find him?" At some point, Chase leaves, and Michael's like, listen, we need to sit there and start throwing around our name, offer him resources and stuff like that to kind of get the ball rolling, you know. And honestly, to tell you the truth, this is one of those times where it's like, you know what, I can understand him using his privilege. I am totally okay with that. He does that. Willow looks at the Wiley and Donna because somebody has to. And I'm not gonna lie, the minute that Chase left, there's one scene where Chase left, the cops leave, and Jason does this weird thing. He's like this. He's like, he starts walking forward, and I'm like, wait, y'all left that, y'all left that in there? That made sense to everyone. I mean, I get it. Being, talking to the cops for like, I don't know, Jason millionth time can probably be a little daunting and a little exhausting, and I get that. But just the fact that he was just like, he started walking, I'm just like, I rewind that like twice because I was like, I can't believe they did that, and I laughed. And at some point, Jason's talking to Carly, and Carly, talks about her fears of what Chase would, might have said. And here's where I start to run into an issue. Just a bit of an issue. So I get that the police are out there looking, and police are out there looking, and his men are out there looking. But if this was my best friend, I'd be out there looking. I'll be out there looking with like minimum sleep. If I'm sleeping, I'm sleeping. I'm waking back up, and I'm going right back out there. But I don't know what time passes as far as GH is concerned. I mean, I know at some point, when Britt saw Jason, Britt was like, "You look like you haven't slept in hours or days," and I'm just like, he's talking to Britt, he's over there talking to Carly. I'm like, and you're not out there looking because why? Like I said, I can only sit there and speak for myself. I know if my best friend, any of my friends is out there, that's where I'll be at, you know? And I would not stop until I sit there and find him or find something. But, you know, reasons, plots, all that good stuff. I think that's actually about it. Yep, I think that's about it. And if I missed anything, I don't think it's really too important. Yeah, I still remember that time that I totally forgot about Finn and Anna and I did a separate video. And I'm like, wow. One, I was really bad at keeping notes. And two, I guess they just wasn't really that important. But anyway, that's going to do it. Thank you for watching. Like I said, my video tomorrow may come out a little bit late because dentist appointment and Novocaine and pain, and I hope it doesn't come to that. I don't think it will. And I'm sorry that the video is coming out super late tonight because the internet decides it wants to be extra slow and yeah, punish me for some odd reason. So I'm sorry, but hopefully throughout the rest of the week it'll be a lot better. Have a great day, great night, depending on when you're watching this. Be safe. I will catch everyone in the next review.